Cultivate, the podcast. This is season 2, and I am so excited that you're joining me today. My name is Sagot. I am your host, and we are kicking off season 2, and I'm just excited to be able to do these again. We took a little break, a little kind of long break, but I'm excited that we are back. And as you can see already, things look a little bit different. We have a new set, and I am excited because this set kind of feels, not that the other set didn't feel like me, but this is more me. It's a little bit darker, a little bit moodier, a little bit more interesting, has a bunch of the things I like, I love, I'm into. And so we did this because I want you to feel that you are invited into this space. It's not just a podcast where I'm just telling you what to do or talking at you. I want you to feel part of the conversation. That is the whole point of Cultivate the podcast. And if you're new here, maybe you haven't watched season 1, I encourage you to go back and maybe binge watch all the episodes. And we did it in kind of like an interview style format. And I was able to sit down with some incredible women and talk about different things, different topics in life that I know resonate with all of us. And this season, we're going to be doing things a little bit different, and I am excited to try some new things. So I'm alone today, and so we're going to be doing some solo episodes, and we're also going to have some guests every once in a while. But again, this is a space for us to talk about life, to talk about real life, to talk about real issues that we might be dealing with. And I'm excited. I'm excited to give this a go. And so welcome. Again, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to this Cultivate family. And we can't wait for you to join in and just feel like you're part of the family, because I believe that we really are a family. I may know you, I may not know you, but you are still part of this family. And so feel free to comment in the comment section and let us know if you have any questions, if you have any topics you want us to talk about, if maybe you have a prayer request. I'm going to be more engaged this time around and just be able to be there and hopefully just have an answer for you or be able to pray for you, with you, as we talk about different things in life. So Cultivate really came from Flourish, which is the women's ministry of Calvary Church, our church. And it was a way for me to create kind of a bridge between what sometimes can feel like an event. We meet every so often, every like 3 or 4 months. And so I wanted to create a little bit of a bridge between those to be in each other's lives. I really believe in community, and I believe in really helping women along the way in life, in the little things, in the little details of life. So it was a way for me to feel like I was present and that we're creating kind of a group of people and a group of women that can encourage each other and be there for each other. And so I'm trying to think what else I need to tell you other than the new set. Okay, we are going to be doing things a little bit different this time. We used to post these once a week, but now we are going to do it twice a month. And that is going to be on the 2nd and the 4th Wednesday of every month. Here's what you can do. You don't have to remember this. You can subscribe. You can hit the little bell so you can get notifications if you are watching on YouTube. If not, just put it on your calendar. Do it right now. Put a little reminder every 2nd and 4th Wednesday of the month. And you may be asking yourself, why aren't you doing it every week? Well, life has gotten even more busy these days. And there's a lot of things that we are doing, a lot of different projects, a lot of different things that are happening right now, exciting, that I will be telling you about as we begin to roll them out. And so I am trying to pace myself and pace my life so that I can give the best of myself to every project that I do. And so I never want to do something that feels rushed or unintentional just because I have to meet a deadline. And so I want to be fair to myself, and I want to be fair to you so that I can really give you the best and I can really pour my heart into the things that I do. And so who knows, maybe I'll throw in an extra little bonus episode a month. We'll see where this takes us, but I wanted to give you a little life update as well. And what else? Okay. I gave these devotionals for Christmas, when we met during Christmas, is Planting Seeds, Growing Gardens, and it's a yearly devotional. It's one devotional per week. And I wrote this and I gave it to the girls at Flourish. I always do like a free gift when we gather for Christmas. And this was my gift. If you weren't in the room, if you missed out, you can actually find it on Amazon. You can go get it. Some of the things we're going to be talking about are from here and some are not. But I just want to encourage you to pick this up. Maybe you didn't start with us at the beginning of the year. It doesn't matter. You can just jump right in and it's very easy. I wanted to make this easy for us to read and not overcomplicate it. I know we all have a lot, and I know we all have our time with God, and we have our prayer time, and we may be doing 2 devotionals at a time, whatever the case might be. But I wanted it to be practical, and I wanted it to be something that didn't feel like it added so much like busyness to your life, but that it added value to your life. And so you can pick it up, and I'll tell you whenever we're touching on one of these topics from here. But that's it. That's it in the way of updates. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything. I'll remember at some point and tell you. But again, I'm excited. Okay, so today there's this thought that I've been having, and I keep thinking about it. It just continues to just resonate in my mind. And I have some of my notes here because I don't want to forget anything that has been in my heart that I've been thinking about. So I mentioned Flourish. Flourish, like I said, it's a women's ministry of Calvary Church. And we gathered a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, and I gave a message called The Gift. And this message was speaking about struggles. And we read out of 2 Corinthians chapter 12. We talked about Paul's thorn on the side. And I think that God really put in my heart to speak about this because this is a topic that a subject, a thing that we're all going to deal with, which is struggles. And so if you didn't watch it, if you weren't in the room, we're going to link it here so you can go back and watch it, hear the message. And I pray that it encourages you and it helps you and it helps build your faith and it helps encourage you. But I stayed thinking about this even after the message. I feel like it's just been a little bit of a recurring theme for the past few weeks. This idea of struggles, because, we all have faced struggles. Either we have faced them, we are facing them, or we will face them. Some of us, all 3 categories apply to our lives, right? Some of us might be dealing with some really difficult situations in our lives, and it happens to everyone. It happens to all of us, regardless of our background, of a economic status, regardless of anything. Struggles happen to all of us. And so what I've seen struggles do in people usually is 2 different things. Usually when people have a difficult situation and a struggle, they can, 1, have the tendency to blame God, be angry at God and be like, well, God, why did this happen to me? And, why is this happening in my life? Or feels like, if you were a good God, why would you allow this? And I understand that thought because I believe that at one point or another, we have all had that thought. Like, God, why me? God, if I serve you, why me? God, if I try to be my best, why me? But if we're not careful, this line of thought can quickly take us to a place where we become just bitter people and angry people and people that have no faith, people that have no hope for the future because we are stuck in this mindset, in this mentality. But I've also seen another group of people that really, when they struggle, when they face difficult situations, what they do is not push God away or try to find who to blame or why, but they really just get close to God and they embrace God. And they say, God, I don't understand why this is happening. And I might sometimes doubt and question. But one thing is certain is that I know who you are in my life. And I know that I can trust you. And they lean into faith. And the problem could be the same. The problem might still be there. But the outcome of our lives is what changes. See, depending what kind of approach we give to this struggle in our lives, we will come out on the other side with victory, with more strength, with more wisdom, with more joy, with purpose. Or if we allow it, we can just come out on the other side of this situation bitter, angry at the world, hating everything, hating everyone, with no hope, with no purpose. And I just feel and I just hope and pray that we would be the kind of women that we would rather hold on to what we know it's true, even when we're facing a situation we don't understand, because we know and we believe that there is something on the other side, that there is something good on the other side, that there is hope, that there is purpose on the other side of our situation. And so I just want to remind you of these verses. You may have heard them before, you might be hearing it for the first time, but whether you're driving or you are at your desk or you are washing dishes, I just want you to take a little breather right now and just hear these words and hear what God says. It's 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 6 through 10. It says, therefore, this is Paul speaking, the Apostle Paul. He says, therefore, in order to keep me from becoming conceited, I was given a thorn in my flesh. And my message, I said this thorn was given, it was a gift. And some of us don't see our situation or our struggle as a gift, more as a curse, but it was a gift. It was a gift because it says this, a messenger of Satan was his gift, coming to torment me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. And as I read these, it feels like so different from what we want to do when we're facing struggle. It feels so different than what society and the world tells us we should do. You should be strong. You should be independent. You should, do things on your own. But it says here that when I am strong, when I am weak, God is strong. That where I lack, God overflows. That when I don't have strength, God has strength for me. That when I don't have peace, God has peace for me. That whatever I lack in my life, God has in abundance. And I just think that's a beautiful thought. And thinking that Paul, someone who had accomplished so much, found himself in this situation, found himself in a situation where he couldn't do anything about this thing that he was dealing with. He asked God to take it away. God doesn't, because God was trying to teach him a lesson that even in the most difficult of times, God's grace will be sufficient for you, enough for you. His grace that comes to strengthen you. His grace that comes to bring peace. His grace that comes to push you and move you forward even when you feel like you can't do it on your own. The grace of God will become sufficient for you. So Paul's saying, I could boast about all the amazing things I've done, all my accomplishments, but actually I'm going to talk about my weaknesses, because it is in my weaknesses that I can see God's power at work. And I know that all of us love to talk about, or we feel more comfortable talking about our accomplishments, the good things we have done when life goes well. We all post that pretty picture that took 30 takes to get right. We all want to show the highlights of our lives. How many of us really boast, flex on our problems? I don't think a lot of us, but I love that Paul is bringing a different perspective into this. And he's saying, well, actually, it is those struggles that when you talk about them, when you allow God to work in them, they can actually have and create purpose. And there's a meaning and there's a reason behind them all. And again, I was talking about this whole idea that God can turn our struggles into strength, into purpose, that our weakness can become our witness, is something that I said. And a few weeks after that, probably the week after we had our Flourish gathering, I was at church on a Sunday and I was outside. We were talking to people and I had a moment where I spoke to Jackie. Jackie is part of our church and she was actually the guest in one of our episodes in season 2, and we talked about grief. So if you haven't watched that, we'll link it here. Go back and watch it. And Jackie lost her son to a just horrible accident. And it was a tragic situation. And it's a situation that I feel that when we hear it, we can think that's so difficult. And our hearts can hurt and we can feel that pain. But unless you've walked in that same situation, there is a part that we don't understand. And so I often find that we can have compassion for people and feel with people, but unless you've walked in my shoes or in the same situation, there is something about it that I can't explain because I haven't walked in those shoes. And so it's a beautiful thing that we can all surround people when they're hurting, and we can all pray for them. And that's so valuable and that is so needed. But when you have walked through the same thing someone else has, it just brings something different. And so she was saying, telling me, how she has a connect group from our church. It's just small groups that we have that meet throughout the city. And it's groups of people that just gather to pray, talk about Jesus, do life together. We believe in community. And she has a grief support group. So this group specifically geared for people who have suffered loss and they have dealt with grief. Maybe they're actively dealing with grief, or it's just a part of their story. And she was telling me that she was in her Connect group, and a lady from her Connect group actually, they were just finding out at that time that they were having Connect group that she had lost her son in a tragic accident. She had previously lost a daughter. So this was her second loss. And I can't even begin to imagine the depth of that pain. And she said, my Connect group, because we had all experienced this type of pain, we were able to step in and support her and just surround her with hope, surround her with prayer, surround her with what she needed in that moment. And it's just stayed in my mind because I really believe that God does not waste your tears or your pain. And so Jackie had lost her son. And you may think, what good can come out of that? The grief of a mother. And yes, this is a horrible situation, but I believe that God has a way of redeeming even the deepest pain and struggles in our lives. And so now, because she knew that pain, she was able to be there for someone who was not walking in this situation. And so I want to remind you today that your deepest pain, that one thing that you think God could never do anything with, that God has the ability and the power to do something with it if you allow him to. If you begin to embrace that situation, not run away from it, but say, God, do something through this. Don't let this go to waste. I don't let my pain or my tears or my trauma go to waste. I want you to use it to do something in my life and in the lives of people. So I want us to begin to change our mindset from what these situations come in our life to do. I really believe that the mountaintops inspire us, right? Like when we see people being successful and it seems like they've got it all together, and, they're at the gym every day at 5 a.m. I just can't do it. And I'm just inspired by you. And I want to do it so bad. But there's something about the struggle that unites us. The mountaintops, they inspire us, but the valleys, they connect us and they do something in us. When I hear the story of someone who has walked through a situation, now I'm able to see how God used, that's different. That's a different bond. That's a different level of connection and transformation that it does in me. So I just wrote some things down that I think can help you and I to change our mindset when it comes to our struggles. Again, we have all faced them, we are facing them, or we will face them in different levels, to different capacities. I'm not trying to tell you when I say this that when a struggle happens and when you're in pain, that you shouldn't suffer, or that you shouldn't, because Jesus is with you, you shouldn't grieve, or you should. No. What I'm saying is, yes, feelings and emotions are part of it because we're human beings and that's part of our lives. But what I'm trying to tell you is, don't allow that feeling or that emotion or that doubt that you had for a moment or that fear that you had for a moment to completely overtake your life and run your life. Feelings are there to be felt. Feelings are there for a reason. God gave you and I feelings, but feelings are great passengers. They are not great drivers. So allow God and faith and his promises to drive your life and not your feelings. You are going to have them. They're there for a reason, but they shouldn't run your life. And so what do we do, or how can we just change the perspective we have when we think about our struggles? I think first we need to own our story. Own your story. And I know that this is so different for different people, because I know that the level of struggle that I might have faced is not the level of struggle some of you have faced. And my struggle was real for me, and my pain was real for me, but your level of pain could have been completely different. You could have gone through so much more than what I went through. So this is not a competition about who struggled the most, or your struggle is so real in your life as much as it is in mine. And so beginning to own that part of your life begins to break chains. It begins to just open us up to healing, to believing that God could actually do something for our lives when we begin to own our story. So a few years ago, I met with someone and they told me this situation that happened to them when they were a child. And they were confiding in me something that they had never told anyone. And it was something very difficult, something very painful. And this person had lived for 30, 40 years dealing with this alone. So part of what I mean when I say own your story is that we need to allow space for healing to happen. And it happens when we face the situation. And again, I know that there are some situations that are so much more traumatic than others, that are so much more difficult to face head on. But maybe you need to ask for help. Maybe you have a trusted friend and you need to say to this person, hey, help me in this situation. Help me as I challenge myself to face this part of my life and ask for help. Ask for help. Ask God to heal me. Ask, maybe you need therapy. Maybe you just need community. There's so many different things, but when you begin to embrace your story and not run away from it or reject it, because that very situation or situations that you walk through are the very things that God is using to shape you, to mold you, to make you better, and to help people. Oftentimes people ask me, okay, Diana, people that know a little bit of my story with my dad or growing up with a single mom and struggles and whatnot, they ask me, would you wish that life would have been a little bit different? And the answer is no. I wouldn't want life to be any different. And was that always how I felt? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe there were different times, seasons in my life. What I've come to realize or to do in my life is to embrace that, is that there will be no me who I am today, with my personality, with my response to things, with my perspective, with how I love God, if there wouldn't have been that struggle in my life. There would be no grit, no strength, no just do whatever it takes mentality if it wouldn't have been for that situation. So yes, could there be times where I have wondered, like, what would have been like if I would have had just a beautiful, loving family and a loving dad who just gave his life for me and I was daddy's little girl? Probably would have been amazing. But that's not my story. And I can sit now and dwell on what could have been when this is just what was. This is what it was. This is what life was like for me. And I'm going to embrace it. And I'm going to learn from it. And I'm going to be the best I can be because of it. And now, as I look back at my life, it's no longer through the eyes of like just pain and, how horrible. Yeah, did it suck? Sure. Was it painful? Sure. But now I feel like it did something in me that allows me now today to speak to people, to speak to certain situations with a different set of eyes, with a different perspective. I feel like it has added value in my life where the enemy might have wanted to take away purpose. That situation through Jesus Christ added value to my life. So begin to own your story. Begin to learn how to embrace even the darkest places and moments of your story, because there is value in them. If you allow Jesus and if you do the work, God will show you that he can turn even the ugliest of situations and redeem them and create something good. So own your story and then share what God has done. Now hear me out. You've probably heard me say this before. And I say this and I have to do a whole disclaimer because people are sensitive sometimes, a lot of times. I'm not trying to judge anybody for their choices as to how they express their feelings or emotions. I do, however, think there's a right way to share your emotions. I'm not telling you to go out there and set up your phone, record yourself, and then cue your tears to the camera so you can convey to people that you're actually sad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you need to go tell everybody that you just met that some horrible thing happened to you. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is ask God that as you serve him, that as you do life, he creates and he brings up these opportunities where he surrounds you with the type of people you are able to help because you have something valuable to share. That's what I mean. What I mean is that once you embrace your story, you can then allow God to use it to help other people and to encourage people that are going through the same kind of pain, that feel despair, that feel hopeless, that now your story can come and help them out. I love this verse. And this is, when I think of Cultivate, this is a verse that to me just moved me to do this. It's in Revelation 12:11 says, They triumphed over him, the enemy, by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. They triumphed over him. They triumphed over the enemy through the blood of Jesus Christ, through the sacrifice of Jesus that came to save me, but also through the power, the word of their testimony. There is power in your story. There is power in your testimony. There's power in my story and my testimony, which is why this happened, which is why Cultivate exists, which is why we talk to people, and which is why I want to hear people's stories, because we overcome by the blood of Jesus that saved me, and then also by my word, by my testimony about what God has done, because it is that will turn people's eyes to Jesus, not to me. I'm not that good. I'm not that great. I can't just figure it out and fix it on my own. No, Jesus did it. Jesus did it in my life. And if he did it in my life, he could do it in your life. So by my testimony to you, you're going to put your eyes in Jesus and your life can change too. So I own my story. I share what God has done. And then I trust that God is still writing. God is not done with your story. Guess what? There's more struggles to come. Sorry to tell you, life doesn't always get easier. Struggles are a part of life because we live in a fallen world. Do we hope and believe and pray that life can be better and will be better? Absolutely. God desires good things for you, but struggle is a part of life. But understand that God isn't done writing your story. Maybe you feel like your struggle, your situation, your pain, you've done nothing with it. Maybe you still feel stuck in that place. Today, be encouraged that God isn't finished with your story, that if you're still alive, you're listening to this, you're watching this, God is still writing your story. There's still so much more that he wants to do and will do in your life if you let him. So I want to encourage you today to face that situation, allow God in, process it, bring people into your life that can help you. Get resources, tools. If you need any help finding tools, let us know and we'll try to help you the best that we can to find those so that you can now live out the purpose that God has for your life. And so I want to read this verse to you. Romans 8:28 says, And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. If you love Jesus, if you have been called by Jesus, if you've given your life to Jesus, it says that all things, not some things, not the good things, all things, the ugly things, the broken things, the painful things will work together for your good. And that is my prayer for you today, that you will grab these verses, grab this verse, write it down somewhere, read it to you every morning. If you're in a place where you feel trapped by that situation, trapped by circumstances, by struggles, all things will work together for the good of those who love Jesus. All things will work together for you. So what can you do other than, besides just holding on to this promise, is you should find community. Do you have community in your life? Maybe you're not part of Calvary. Maybe you're watching from another church. Find community in your church. Maybe you're watching from a completely different state, another country. I don't know. Wherever you are, find good community. People that are like-minded. People that love Jesus. People that you can sit down and have conversations with. It makes a difference. Begin to change your perspective. Whenever something happens in your life, instead of your initial reaction being, God, why? God, this. God, help me. God, strengthen me. God, allow your grace to work through me and in me. God, help me. God, help me see what can come from this. God, strengthen me in the situation, in the middle of this pain, in the middle of this confusion. God, you can help me see this with different eyes. And last but not least, keep moving forward. Life is going to happen, and life will keep going. It is up to you whether or not you want to continue getting better, or what's the other option? Like, what are the options? When I think about life being difficult, okay, what are the options? Do I do nothing and get bitter and just allow life to just run me over and do absolutely nothing? Or since life is moving either way, I might as well do something I might as well change it. I might as well transform this into something good. So keep showing up, even when it's painful, even when you don't feel like it. One foot in front of the other, one day at a time. Keep moving forward. Keep showing up. Keep asking God to help you. Keep showing up. Keep moving forward. Keep putting Jesus first in your life, and you will see that he will change and he will turn your struggle into strength, and not just for your life, but for other people. I'm just thinking about my mom, who went through so much struggle in her life. I think it made her such a strong woman, and it did so much in her life, but it did so much in my life. So be encouraged that what you're doing is not just for yourself, that what you're doing could become a witness to your family, to your siblings, to your parents, to your children, that God can actually do something out of those painful places. I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for my mom's struggle. Not just my struggle, but even her struggle, because through her, I was able to witness God's power. So be encouraged today. Be encouraged and know that God can do incredible things, even in those deep, just painful moments and places of your life. And I'm praying for you. If there's anything specific you want us to pray for, leave it in the comments. Send us a DM. Let us know if there's any resource, any way we can be of help in your life. Let us know. We want to be able to help you as much as we can. And yeah, I hope you keep showing up, and I hope you keep believing that you are strong and that with God's help, you can do it. And that's it for our first episode, season 2. We'll see you soon. Thank you for tuning in. Maybe send this to a friend if you feel like it'll encourage them. Subscribe, leave us a comment, let us know where you're watching from. And if you need anything from us, we'd love to help you. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time.